Record?
Nick?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we're on the record.
All right, whenever you're ready.
Good morning. Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City proceedings will begin. The board is now in session. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, there are no preliminary matters on the docket. I'll call the first case. Moe's Fisherman's Wharf, 219 President Street, Class B, beer, wine, and liquor license. A violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on April the 27th, 2022. Please come forward.
Good morning.
Good morning. For the record, Melvin J. Kandensky, 320 North Charles Street, representing Moe's. With me is his general manager, health-wise. He's having some health problems, so he's authorized him and myself to appear.
Is this going to be an admission or denial, Mr. Kadensky?
This would be an admission.
Okay. Do you want to have him testify, or are you going to proffer?
I'm going to proffer that this was a server that, and it's not the kind of place, it's a restaurant that people don't hang in there 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning to drink. But since that time, he's had, and I can show you almost all his people certified for alcohol awareness, and they've been more than vigilant and in this matter, and he's made sure that they will check everybody no matter what happens. So I think they've taken the right steps. I noticed that probably 4 years ago they had him prior for sale to minors.
Yeah, I mean, they were in for a protest of renewal, and there was some discussion of them working with the community.
Oh, my God. Why did you do that to me?
Kadensky, we all get to a point where it's time to pass the baton.
I don't think I should, that was a cross I didn't want to bear, but we've had like 5 meetings, and Matt has been in 1 or 2 of them, and I think John, and we're sending back MOUs with changes. The latest one we just sent to them, so we are working with them. We've had about 5 meetings down there, so we're closing the gap. Police have been there, the councilman's been there at that meeting, along with other representatives, so we are, hopefully you'll take this. This happened before the protest of renewal.
Yes. So, and who's here? Are you here on the merits of the sale or for some other reason?
No, for the sale.
Okay. And where's Matt? I saw Matt. Can you come up, please? Or John, one of you, and let us know what your view is of how they're doing. We have to swear you in.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning, Matt Alcomer, Community Liaison for the Liquor Board. I can report that I have been at probably 3 or 4 meetings at this point now for the MOU process. It is proceeding. There are lots of discussions back and forth as well as scheduling issues throughout the summer, but they are making progress.
Are they participating in good faith?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So then keep Mr. Kadensky's feet to the fire, will you?
Well, you weren't there the last
I
time.
tried.
You were under the weather the last one.
Yes.
I know it's not an easy process, but it's important. Okay, do commissioners have any questions?
No questions.
Anything further, Mr. Kadensky?
Nothing further.
All right. Thank you, everyone. On the basis then of the materials contained in the charging documents, the proffer from counsel, which included an admission of the violation on behalf of his client, I find a violation of Rule 4.01, small a, sale to minor on April 27, 2022, and I'd impose a $500 fine and give them 30 days to pay.
Based upon the charging document, the proffer, and the admission, I too find a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors, on April 27, 2022, and concur with the imposition of a $500 fine.
Yes, based on testimony and evidence provided today, I also agree with the chair's findings, a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on April 27, 2022, and the fine of $500.
Ms. Russell?
Medical exhibits for the record. Violation report, Inspector Jordan. 2, Baltimore City Police Department incident report, Detective LeBron.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Orleans Liquors, 401 North Montfort Avenue, Class BD7, beer, wine, and liquor license. here for a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on May the 25th, 2022. Please come forward.
Morning, counsel.
Abraham Hurdle on behalf of Rudra LLC. With me is Ms. Pudell.
Admission or denial?
Admission.
Okay. Do you want to proffer?
I do. This is a location, I believe that these operators took over sometime, and my notes reflect either 17 or 18.
Ours say 18.
And there haven't been any violations since. They've run a pretty tight ship since that time. I did speak to them about the situation. This was a new employee. They've been reprimanded. We talked about getting a point-of-sale system that had the ability to require identification, as well as checking everyone's ID and getting everyone alcohol awareness certified going forward. They're going through that process at the moment, and we look forward to having, well, just not being back here anytime soon.
Agent Perez, can we swear you for a second?
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And have they been cooperative, agent?
Yes, they have.
Any problems?
Never had an issue with this location.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, the proffer from counsel, which included an admission of violation on behalf of his client, I find a violation of Rule 4.01, small a, sale to minor on May 25, 2022. I impose a fine of $500 and give them 30 days to pay. Commissioners?
Based upon the charging document, the proffer, which included the admission, I too find a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on May 25, 2022, and concur with the imposition of a $500 fine.
Yes, based on the testimony and evidence provided today, I also agree with the chair's findings. A violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on May 25th, 2022, and a fine of $500.
Ms. Russell?
Likewise, Ms. For the record, Board Exhibit 1, violation report, Inspector Perez. Agent
Thank you.
Perez.
Thank you,
Good luck.
Commissioners. Thank you, Inspector Perez.
Agent Perez.
Castle Seafood Restaurant, 3720 Poteet Street, Class B, beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for a violation of Rule 4.05, prohibited hours on May 13th, 2022. Violation of Rule 3.08, small a, sanitation and safety, May 13th, 2022. Violation of Rule 3.02, cooperation on May the 13th, 2020. Violation of Rule 3.12, general welfare, May 13, 2022. Violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct, May the 13th, 2022. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Kanensky, 320 North Charles Street. This would not be an admission.
Okay. Let's, everyone raise your right hands. Who's going to testify?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
All right. Chief, you-
Preliminarily, and then I don't expect you to rule at this point, but the violation of Rule 4.05, there are two parts to 4.05. There's an A and a B. Neither one have been cited, so we would say it lacks specificity with regard to that charge.
okay. Chief?
Good morning, Chief Chris Amalis, Baltimore City Liquor Board. On May 13th, we had conducted an after-hours investigation at the Castle Seafood Restaurant at 3720 Poteet Street. We had received numerous anonymous tips through the office that they were holding and hosting after-hours activities till 5 in the morning when the other bars would close. We had gotten very specific information about the operation. Even was told that if you just drive by, you're not going to see vehicles in the parking lot. They're using the parking lot across the street on Poteet. I had Inspector Todd Hope position herself inside of the Royal Farms, which is directly across and to the left of the establishment, to monitor if she sees people leaving and if she sees new people coming in after 2. We had also been notified by the Southern Police District that they see activity in that area, and they...
I don't want to object, but I mean, it's not really part of what happened, what Southern had indicated.
Well, let's keep it. brief, but let's go
Okay,
ahead.
so the Southern District also met us at the location at about 2:05, 2:10 a.m. We went to the location. When I arrived, the gentleman to my right was speaking to my inspector. He said that we're not open, we're just cleaning up. I asked him to let us in so we can take a walk through, at which time he said that he doesn't have the keys and you need the keys to get in. He got on the phone, he was speaking in Spanish, so I didn't understand what he was saying. We waited, I knocked on the door, I could hear people inside. I instructed him again to open the door. He said he can't get in, again, told me that he doesn't have a way to get in because he doesn't have the key. At which time I knew that there was people inside, and I told him that it is a fire hazard to have people locked inside, and I was gonna have to call the fire department to make entry for public safety reasons. He then made another phone call, and a gentleman opened up the door that was inside. When we went inside, I saw about 5 or 6 people heading towards the back, which is a kitchen area that has a back door exit. We followed them back there, and in that yard was approximately 50 people that were exiting through the kitchen to get out of our visibility. I spoke with the gentleman in detail about what was going on, and that's what happened that night. And we did have a follow-up meeting after that, but that was the violation for that night.
Okay, you have questions for the chief?
Yeah, and you had mentioned that you got there about 2:05, 2:10, is that correct?
Approximately.
Yeah, and then who was the person from Southern? Do you remember what his name was?
I don't remember the patrol officer's name. Sergeant Molly, actually, I'm sorry, Sergeant Molly, who is the nighttime supervisor, is the one that had contacted me the previous week, telling me that there's a lot of activity around the bar and they can't figure out where it's coming from.
And did the police officer, was he with you when you went in?
He was.
And, because I don't see a mention of him in your report.
I didn't. He's not mentioned in the report because it wasn't a joint operation. We just had the officer there
You
for
said he
safety
was there
reasons.
with you.
He was.
Okay, and along with, you didn't witness anybody drinking in the place, is that correct?
Absolutely not. I did not witness anybody drinking.
Because what happened is 4.05 has to do with serving or drinking, but in neither of those cases, nobody was being served, nor did you see anybody drinking under Rule 405, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And the second violation is under sanitation and safety. What would have been that violation more specifically?
Well, that would be more of a question for our attorney, but I would assume that's for the people, the safety would be for the people locked inside.
Now, did you eventually go inside and saw that all the doors have panic bars on?
I did.
So people aren't locked inside if they're panic bars, so they can get out.
Well, I
couldn't get in.
wasn't privy
I
to the
understand.
layout of the building, so when he told me that he needs a key to get in, I was assuming that, and he's talking to somebody inside the bar, if it was that easy, then that person should have pushed the panic bar and let us
But
in.
you don't know where that person was.
I don't, just like I didn't know there was a
Would
panic
that be
bar.
a picture of the?
That's the bar, yeah,
With
that's,
the panic bar on it?
correct.
So, I mean, it wasn't that people were locked in, you couldn't get in, they could get out with the panic bar.
with the information I got
No, okay.
from the operator, they were locked in, because he said we can't get in without a key, and there was multiple people inside the
That
bar.
doesn't mean they
that
couldn't get out, though.
I didn't know that at the
All
time.
right, but you saw the panic bars, which would enable you to get out, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then your next violation, cooperation. I'm assuming that you had a conversation, along with the inspector, with this gentleman here, and eventually when they.
When you say, I'm sorry, which gentleman are we talking
I
about?
know he was pointing to somebody.
Oh, this gentleman.
Okay.
Okay. And who is that gentleman? Is that Mr. Rosario?
Yeah.
Okay.
And eventually, when you did go in, there were employees in there. Did you identify the people who were employees as opposed to anybody else?
There was several employees that were obviously employees that were cleaning up, taking drinks off the bar, and then there was, like I said, numerous people that were trying to push out through the back door.
Was the back door open?
There was.
So those people, you didn't get any names though?
No, of course not.
And they weren't doing anything that was illegal, those people?
No,
Were leaving. And you let them leave?
of course.
Okay. And then, so the cooperation was, it just took a longer time for him to get the door open for you.
The cooperation was the failure to access the building when we asked them to, and waited, and while people were exiting to open, and also for telling us that there was nobody inside but employees.
Yeah. And you weren't able to identify who was an employee, who wasn't, though.
I could identify that the majority of the people there weren't employees because they were running out the back door.
But you didn't get anybody's names.
Absolutely not.
All right, and then the back door was open,
It was.
and it's a big a yard in the back?
Yes, it's like a fence. I think there's a fence
Yeah.
up there too.
I may have a picture, let me see.
Okay.
It's good to have real-time evidence,
Sure.
I think, sometimes. Story of my life. Would this be the back? of the fence?
That's a weird angle. If you're telling me it is, I would
No,
agree
no,
with you.
I'm not-
Yeah,
you
because
commit yourself, okay.
the way it's positioned there, it's hard to tell.
And then, the next charge that you have there was general welfare. This place sits sort of by itself, doesn't it?
It's correct. It's
So
a
not
freestanding
like-
building.
It's not like in a residential area. It sits right off of Poteet Street,
It
correct?
sits right off of Petite. There is plenty of residents right across on the other side of Petite.
But none of those people complained about this that night, did they?
I couldn't tell you if that's one of the people that gave us the anonymous tip or not.
Okay, so, but you, as far as you know, you didn't have anybody in the neighborhood that was complaining?
There was no 311 call that night for that establishment.
And along with that, this place has been there for quite, how long have you been, you know the place has been there for a long time?
Correct.
And the illegal conduct that you had here, what is it you're referring to when you mention illegal conduct?
Again, that could be something for the attorney, but the illegal conduct that we saw was operating after hours and also charcoal hookah burning when we went in there.
So you're saying operating after hours, there was no proof of any consumption or sales after that?
There was alcohol still out when we went on tables with, if you see, there's martinis that are completely full. The hookah's still burning, so people were occupying that before
But you
they.
didn't witness any sales or consumption?
I did not see any sales or consumption, no, sir.
Okay. And then after that, when you got done, they left and everything else was uneventful after that, is that correct?
That's correct.
There were no charges, anybody, nor would the police issue any charges or so forth. And the charcoal hookah, how did you know whose hookah that was, or do you don't know?
It doesn't matter whose it is, if it's burning
Well, I mean,
inside.
it's not the question. The question is you don't know whose it was.
No, I don't know
You
who.
verified it was burning at the time?
Correct.
So it's not an open flame, though.
Well,
Charcoal, but it's not an open flame.
right, it's never an open flame, just the charcoal burning classifies under the, as an open flame.
Otherwise, once you finished there, they were otherwise cooperative. In fact, you had another meeting. You mentioned the attorney. You're talking about Mr. Blendy over there?
Yes,
The new-
our
New
attorney.
father.
Yes.
You can be both. You can be both.
You're the attorney and a father?
Yeah. You should know that, Mel.
How well I know that. And you had a follow-up meeting with them to explain some things about how they should run their place, is that correct?
We did.
Okay,
We did have a follow-up meeting.
I'm no.
Do you want to present testimony?
I would just go on what is there so far.
All right, that's
I
fine.
know that there's smoke, there's fire. I hate to say it that way. There were some things that happened, but I think it's a little bit overkill with all these charges in the case, especially indicating that there was no evidence of sale or consumption. There were people there. It's not against the law to have people on the premises. I understand what the innuendo would have been, and I'm not going to argue, try to be too cute about it. They have panic bars on, I got pictures you can see on all the doors so people can get out, even though you might not.
I heard the testimony.
And then the cooperation is, and maybe it took a little longer to get the door open, and the general welfare, there's no complaints from the community in there. And I think, maybe Mr. Reisinger would know that area. That was an area where they were going to build a new district court years ago at the end of that street. Never did. It just sort of sits there by itself. And other than that, I would submit that maybe they should have a little better way they operate the place than they've been doing it now. And I have.
Am I correct in understanding that Mr. Rosario has a pending application for transfer of the license?
I don't know if that's true. I thought he is on the license.
Well, can we ask him? Oh. Which one
This
of you?
gentleman here has been on the license.
You have to be sworn in, gentlemen. Can you raise your right hands, please? Raise your right hand.
Right over here. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Okay, and step up to the microphone, please. Tell us your name.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, my name Charles Kell. I'm the owner of the castle.
And are you trying to transfer the license to
Transfer
Mr.
license to
Rosario? Okay.
Jason.
And have you had conversations with him about that?
Yes.
So when we had the follow-up meeting, sir, they were both gentlemen were there. The night of the incident, I actually spoke to this gentleman on the phone because I asked where the licensee was. He told me he was the manager. He was able to get him on the phone. I did tell him that his establishment's open after hours, that we were there, and that violations would be issued. So I spoke with him that night, and then the meeting was over there.
Is it your understanding, or is it your belief that they understand the rules and regulations?
Yes, now they do.
Okay. All right. Commissioners have questions?
I noticed on your docket, you have him down as a licensee, Mr. Rosario.
We do.
Okay, I just,
But I said maybe they're going off the license. Is that what's going on?
I don't know. I'm not, you know, that doesn't.
Okay.
Show us this.
No questions.
One.
Go ahead.
Counselor, my question is that, why didn't your client go through the front door?
What's outside?
Huh?
It's outside.
Yeah, but why, I mean, people were leaving. Why were they leaving? Why would they, can I finish my question? I have the floor, yes. Why did they leave through the back door, you know, instead of just going through the front door like Mr. Rosier came out of? I can understand the purpose of 30 or 40 people walking out the back door. And I'm assuming that the reason was with the phone, in regards to Spanish dialect, that was to give them enough time to vacate, and then let the chair of the agent come in.
Well,
I know it's my assumption, but that's what I'm looking.
I'm not going, I wasn't there, and I'm not going to assume it. He was outside when the chief showed up, so.
Can he, Mr. Chair, can he answer my question, Mr. Rosario? Why didn't they come out of the front door instead of the rear?
Please.
And why did they park across the street in the parking lot when you have, I know the area well, when they have a big parking lot out there?
Yes, sometimes so many cars, if they park on the other side. They still park on the other side.
You what?
He wants
I
to know
can't-
why, he wants to know why, I don't want to interpret it, but why the people didn't
Yeah.
come out the front door, they were going out the back door. That's the question, I think. And that-
Yes,
His
Council.
car in the park, the back side too, or park.
the park-
They
They
what?
park in the back too also.
This is a parking lot in the back, that's, I can show you a picture, that's. where
Yeah, they
going out.
park
parking lot.
in, yeah.
Can't talk.
They were going across the street. There's pictures where the
Yeah,
agent took
but it's-
pictures of them crossing the street.
Also, it's parking in the back too also.
That's correct, Commissioner. A lot of the people that came out at 2 o'clock, like the report states, they were parked in the parking lot. All the customers that were arriving at 2 were parking across the street and walking into the club.
Okay. And the question is, why didn't they go out? You say that because of the parking lot in the back, that's why 30 or 40, all the customers were parking in the
Parking
parking lot?
lots from the front.
Yeah.
Good, he wants to
Yeah.
say something.
I see. The castle is very strange. You have like 6 exits. The small restaurant, we have 6 doors. On the back, we have parking lot too. The front parking lot, the back parking lot. Cross street is medical center. They closed it. We have permit to put the car over there. By the time medical center closed, McDonald's closed it. Lawyer Farm is open, Family Dollar is closed. We always have like a verbal contract, use their parking lot.
So I think part of what Commissioner Reisinger is saying, which strikes me as interesting, is you have 50 people, according to the chief's testimony, rushing out of one door,
Rush it, and they were,
or quickly walking. all at once in seeming unison at 2:10 in the morning.
If I can add, Commissioner, that door is, you have to go through the restaurant's kitchen to get to that back door. It's not a public exit.
So I take your word, Mr. Kadinsky, with respect to you know, the issue of general welfare, if the community wasn't complaining about it, but 50 people quickly walking out of one exit at 2:10 in the morning, I don't know. It's a good question. I'm sorry, Commissioner Rice.
No, go ahead, please.
But I mean, the rule is consumption or sales. That's the reason why I asked.
Are you speaking of the prohibited hours?
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting one, right? Because I certainly take your point that the rule doesn't cite A or B, but again, the chief's testimony was that there was alcohol served in some form, furnished in some form.
But not after 2 o'clock. There's no testimony to that. First of all, it's got to be A or B. There's no sale or consumption. The fact that there was alcohol there is not the violation of A or B. And plus, you didn't charge A or B. You have a lack of specificity there. I'm not going to beat the thing to death, but that's the argument.
Fair point.
Now, I was in there. I got to take it. I'm the defense counsel.
Anything further from anyone?
Nothing further.
Mr. Chairman, point of clarification, if I may. Mr. Jose Rosario is in fact a current licensee on this license. He became a licensee during the renewal 2022 as qualifying city resident to replace Ron Smith. So he is in fact a current licensee pending a transfer to become the only licensee. So
Okay.
he's currently on the license.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. On the basis then the materials contained in the charging documents and the testimony received this morning, my rulings would be as follows. I don't think that the evidence supports will sustain a violation of Rule 4.05 prohibited hours on May 13, 2022, or a violation of Rule 3.08A sanitation and safety on that date, or a violation of Rule 3.12 general welfare on May 13, 2022. So I dismiss those charges. I do find a violation of Rule 3.02 cooperation on May 13, 2022, and I want to tell you, Mr. Rosario, I take that very seriously. Should never happen again if you want to keep this license. And I find a violation of Rule 4.16 illegal conduct on May 13, 2022. As to each of the violations, I'd impose $500 fines for a total of $1,000. I'd give them 30 days to pay. Commissioners?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Based on the charging document, the testimony, I find I would agree with the chairman and dismiss 4.05 prohibited hours. I would dismiss Rule 3.08A sanitation and safety. Dismiss violation of Rule 3.12 general welfare. Did I get it? And would find a violation of Rule 3.02 cooperation on May 13, 2022. I concur with the imposition of a $500 fine, but would echo the chairman's sentiment about cooperation going forward. I also find a violation of Rule 4.16 illegal conduct on May 13, 2022, and would concur with the imposition of a $500 fine.
Mr. Reising?
Yes, Mr. Chair, based on the testimony provided and evidence provided today, I have to
Sir.
disagree with the chair's findings of. Based on testimony and evidence provided today, I disagree with the chair's findings of all five. If I'm saying this correctly, I think that the fine of violation Rule 3.02 cooperation on May 13th, instead of $500, I think it should be $1,000. And also in violation of Rule 416, illegal conduct, I think instead of $500, I think that should be $1,000. With the other violations of 405 prohibited hours, I agree with the chair's findings. Also with the violation 312 general welfare. I agree with the chair's findings on those two. And Rule 308, sanitation and safety.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Russell?
All right, close this for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Building, Fire, and Related Codes of Baltimore City. Board Exhibit 2, Health Code for Baltimore City.
Okay, thanks. So it's a 2-to-1 ruling. Thank you. Good luck.
Club Thunderbird, 2201 East Chase Street, Class BD7, beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of alcoholic beverage Article 12-2004, small c, number 4, on June the 30th, 2022. Violation of Rule 4.05, prohibited hours on June the 30th, 2022. Please come forward.
Is one of you Ronnie Player? Can you raise your right hands, everybody, please?
Over here. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
What is your name, sir?
Darnell Singh.
And how are you related to this place?
Me and my wife bought the bar.
I'm sorry, I can't hear
Me
you.
and my wife was buying New Club Thunderbird.
You are in the process of purchasing it?
Yes.
Did you own it on June 30th, 2022?
No.
Well, where is Ms. or person Player?
He's not here. He wasn't. They just gave us a violation that had his name on it. That's why he's here.
It had hit your name on it?
Yes.
Were you operating it
No,
at that time?
I was actually in the bar, and the bartender, they spoke with the bartender, and they asked me, did I have ID on me? And I told them, yeah, because I was the manager of the bar.
You are the manager of the
Yes,
bar.
and I gave
On
them
June
my
30th?
ID. And I gave my ID, yes, sir.
All right, well, let's hear from the inspector.
Were they sworn, Mr.
Were they
Chairman?
sworn?
Yes, everybody was, weren't you?
But we, on the record, Mr. Chairman,
I thought they were. Was everybody sworn?
Yes, sir.
we don't have an application pending for transfer of ownership for this location.
It's
Okay.
not a owner transfer. Mr. Player is the owner, but they didn't tell us that he had to come in. The citation had his name on it.
That's all right. You can be here. I didn't understand that you were the manager, but now I do. Okay. So, go ahead.
On June 30th, 2022, Inspector Todd Hope and myself were doing after-hour checks with Detective Gatto, and at approximately 11:25 p.m., we entered the Club Thunderbird and spoke to this gentleman here, who identified himself as the manager, and informed them that they were open after hours. The closing time was supposed to be 10 o'clock, according to the House Bill 954, which restricts selling alcohol beverages after 10 p.m. We informed them that, of course, Mr. Darnell, that they were open after 10 and issued them a violation.
Okay. Did you have any questions for her?
Yes. The papers that I read, it had me as the owner, not the manager. And I told you I was the manager. So why am I on the paper as the owner on the violation? Darnell Singh is down as the owner.
Sir, I'm not sure if on here the wording says that you are the owner, and I don't remember. I believe I did ask you if you were the owner,
I said
and I
the
think.
manager.
Well, I'm not. Yeah, I can't tell you exactly. I can't remember for sure, but I thought you said you were the owner.
Well, the thing that you need to understand, is it Mr. Lassane? Is that your name? Mr. Player, or Ms. Player, whoever holds this license, is responsible for this violation, not you. You're here because you were there, and you can give testimony about it, but it's Player's responsibility, okay? And that's who's gonna, if there's a fine or anything, that's who's gonna have to pay it, okay?
Your Honor, if I can clarify the
Okay.
notice. One
Okay.
second.
Have you been sworn?
The name of the notice, Your Honor.
Mhm.
It's just the establishment. This gentleman signed for it, which is the responsibility who signs for it to give it to the licensee.
Okay,
He just signed that they received it. His
Okay.
name isn't on it.
I see, okay. All right, so we understand now, but, so did this all happen as she said, or did it not?
Yes, it happened as she said.
Okay. So you understand that you were operating when you, past the time when you should have been closed?
Actually, the license that we were working under, It's old license. We never had the new. When we got the license, the new license, we was informed that the bar supposed to be stay open until 1:45.
Well, again, that's not your responsibility. That's Mr. Player's responsibility to inform you of what the license requirements are. Okay? Okay. Anything further, commissioners?
No questions.
No questions.
All right, thank you. And your name, ma'am, just for the record?
Rainier Williams.
Okay. And you also work there?
Yes.
Okay. Hope you will convey to, is it Mr. Player?
Yes.
I hope you will convey to him what our ruling is in this, okay? Okay, so on the basis then of the materials contained in the charging documents and the testimony received, which included an admission, I believe, to some extent, I find a violation of Alcoholic Beverage Article 12, 2004, small c, small 4, on June 30, 2022, and a violation of Rule 4.05, prohibited hours, on June 30, 2022. Last violation here has been over like 12 years ago or more. So I would impose $250 fines as to each of these for a total of $500, and I would give Mr. Player 30 days to pay. Commissioners?
Based upon the testimony, the charging document, I too find a violation of Alcoholic Beverage Article 12-2004C4 on June 30, 2022, and concur with the imposition of a $250 fine. I also find a violation of Rule 4.05, prohibited hours, on June 30, 2022, and concur with the imposition of a $250 fine.
Yes, based on the testimony and evidence provided today, I agree with the chair's findings. A violation of Alcoholic Beverage Article 12-2004C4 on June 30th, 2022, and the fine of $250. Also, the violation of Rule 4.05, prohibited hours, on June 30th, 2022, and also with the fine of $250.
Ms. Russell?
Mike Elizabeth for the record. Board Exhibit 1, violation report, Inspector Jordan.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr.
Silverman's Liquor and Soul Food, 412 East Baltimore Street. This is a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on July 21st, 2022. Please come forward.
It's being admission.
Okay. Anyone identify yourself for the record one more time?
Melvin J. Konensky, 320 North Charles Street, representing the licensee.
Do you want to proffer, Mr. Knudsen?
Yeah, this is a place that's on the block at Gady Liquors that's down there. And that's, the licensee is here, has only had it for less than a year probably at this point. And he's from Washington, D.C. as the district of, is that correct? And in the meantime, he's had the individual certified. I can make us an exhibit or just proffer that he's had him certified.
Either way.
And I don't think you're going to see that again. He has a food operation along with the liquor store. It's there. It's been here for a real long time.
Was he cooperative agent? Yes. Okay. Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
No questions.
All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials containing the charging documents and the proffer from counsel, including the admission of the violation, I find a violation of Rule 4.01 small a, sale to minor, on July 21, 2022. This being the first violation, I'd impose a $250 fine and give him 30 days to pay. Commissioner?
Based upon the proffer, the charging document, and the admission itself, I find a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors, on July 21st, 2022. And as the chairman said, it being the first offense, would concur with the imposition of a $250 fine.
Yes, based on the testimony and evidence provided today, I also agree with the chair's findings. A violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors, on July 21st, 2022, and also the fine of $250.
Ms. Russell?
Mike Elizabeth for the record. Board Exhibit 1, violation report, Inspector Tuttle.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Good luck.
Broadway Discount Liquors, 628 South Broadway. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors, on July 21st, 2022. Violation of Rule 3.03, small c, records, on July 21st, 2022. Please come forward.
Yes, good morning, Your Honor. I could not see the O's bird from the right orchestra
I
section.
don't have a Phillies one, or I'd wear it.
Right now, I'm for the Phils as well. Good luck to them. I had to make sure I saw my name tags correctly, and Cadets Cromer and Carrington are here. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of the licensees, and we will plead responsible.
Okay. Do you want to tell us what happened?
Yes, it was very regrettable because they run a very nice shop. A relative from out of the country was in town. He was sitting in the cashiering area, behind the bar, behind the counter. The employee on duty had to use the bathroom, basically, and the relative almost took it upon himself to ring up a purchase, which really wasn't supposed to do.
Hope you don't invite him back anytime.
Keeping him away from the backside of the liquor store. So, so they're extremely regretful of it. He doesn't work for them. He never did. So there's not much here there's something here to learn, and that is obviously anybody back there with the ability to make a sale needs to be vetted, trained, etc., and needs to have a written record of them working at your establishment. So we'd ask that you consider a reduced fine.
Given this lady, Ms. Karki?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And what happened with the records?
Well, like I said, this person was not even an employee.
Oh, okay.
So that even if the records had been produced, there would not be a record indicating that he was an employee of the establishment.
Okay. Cooperation?
We're very cooperative.
And do you concur that whoever was doing this didn't know what he was doing?
Yeah, I agree with the facts of the testimony.
Okay. Commissioners have any questions?
No questions.
No questions.
All right. Thank you. On the basis of the materials containing the charging documents, the proffer from counsel, which includes an admission as to both violations, I find a violation of Rule 4.01A, sale to minor on July 21, 2022, and a violation of Rule 3.03C, records on July 21, 2022. I've been advised that Ms. Karki's been very cooperative with us in the past. There are no history of violations here, so I'm inclined to be rather sympathetic. I'd impose $100 fines as to each and give her 30 days to pay.
Thank you. Based upon the charging document, the proffer, and the admission, I find a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on July 21, 2022, and concur with the imposition of a $100 fine. I find a violation of Rule 3.03C, records, July 21, 2022, and concur with the imposition of a $100.
Yes, based on the testimony and evidence provided today, I also agree with the chair's findings, a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors, and the fine of $100. Also in violation of Rule 3.03C, records on July 21st, 2022, and the fine of $100.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Russell?
Mike Elizabeth for the record. Board Exhibit 1, investigation report, Inspector Perez.
Thank you. Good luck.
O'Connor's Liquors and Bar, 4801 Eastern Avenue. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors on July 21, 2022. Please come forward.
Once again.
Yes, thank you very much, Stephen W. Fogelman, on behalf of licensees, including Sujan Subedi, who's present standing to my right. I'm looking across at the C team, that's the A team, Cadets Carrington and Cromer, and this is an admission.
All right. You want to tell us what happened?
Yes, thank you very much. This is regrettable. Everything has consequences. In this case, Kathy Lynn Grafton had worked at O'Connor's for over 6 years. She had over 21 years experience in the industry, in the alcoholic beverage industry. She made this sale. The management has always said there's a 100% ID check. For whatever reason, she did make the sale. And Mr. Subedi had a tough decision to make. And I even had said, hey, with somebody that kind of experience, it's sometimes better to keep them on so they understand the gravity of any future consequences from these actions. he decided that he had to terminate her in order for the other employees to understand the gravity of the, that kind of a breach of their responsibilities. So in addition to that lesson to be taught to the employees, this is a pretty hands-on administration. But now, as a result of this, one of the brothers are on site at all times. And you can see the name of the company is Subedi Brothers. And there's two brothers here, Sudarshan and Sujan. And Sudarshan is, in fact, at O'Connor's right now. So they also have placed these signs that show each day's birth date every day, what makes you 21 years of age. So there's no math needed. So I would ask that you consider a reduced fine given this situation, and I appreciate your consideration.
Were they cooperative?
They are, Chairman. However, we would like to set up a meeting with the licensees after the hearings, whatever is convenient for them.
Yep.
And other operations.
You can facilitate that?
Yes, and in fact, the chief and I have been in contact. That's a tough corner at Eastern and, Ponca? It's right at the bus stop. Was it Oldham? Yeah, it could be a difficult corner. So no, absolutely interested in keeping that dialogue and security discussions open.
Okay. Commissioners?
No questions.
All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, the proffer from counsel, which included an admission of the rule violation and the testimony received, I find a violation of Rule 4.01, small a, sale to minor, on July 21, 2022. And this being the first violation, I'd impose a $250 fine and give him 30 days to pay.
Based upon the charging document, the proffer, and the admission, I find a violation of Rule 4.01A, sales to minors, on July 21, 2022, and concur with the imposition of a $250 fine.
Yes, based on testimony and evidence provided today, I also agree with the chair's findings of violation of Rule 4.01A, sale to minors, on July 21st, 2022, and with a fine of $250.
Ms. Russell?
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit number 1, investigation report, Agent Perez. Board Exhibit number 2, photos.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Fogelman. Good luck, sir.
See you in 2 weeks' time.
Yes. Mr. Page, I believe that's our docket.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. There being no further business before the board is in recess until 10:30 a.m., Thursday, November the 3rd, 2022.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you to our cadets. Even though your testimony wasn't required today, we appreciate your service, and we'll see you all at the next hearing.
We are adjourned.